Welcome back, everybody.
Right on
This is
time.
another episode of The Lookout. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say there's a lot of humping in this episode, but, there's some
Well,
questionable
some questionable things.
things.
Yeah, some questionable
There's some
things go down
questionable
in
things
these episodes.
in this episode, but we're glad to have you back. Of course, if you're new to this, my name is Meelz. I'm here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff.
I am here. I'm always here.
We're here, third day in a row doing podcasts, bro. This is a whole week. It's taking us back to the good, the good old days. I don't want to say good old days because every day is good when we're doing The Lookout. But the initial days when the first set of episodes of Lookout, day by day, you were on the first two. And
I know it's so weird thinking back at those moments, though, like where we were and where we are now.
But here's the thing, you know why? Because it was so fun and such an interesting time.
Fun. Yeah.
Because it was like Dragon Ball Super was like prime television at that.
I know, isn't that weird to say right now, bro? Like I don't even remember the feeling. Like,
yeah, it was like must-see television. So
really
us covering it in like real time, which is something that we haven't been able to do since, but I think we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah.
Especially with like a lot of big animes coming out in the fall and a lot of things that have been dropped off for the beginning of 2021. We would like to cover some stuff in real time, so maybe you guys can get that in the future. But it was just a great feeling. Yeah, and it's a great feeling to go over My Hero Academia season 3. I mean, we've knocked out 2 major episodes. The camping one.
Yeah.
I gotta stop saying on this stupid episode.
A lot of drama.
We knocked out the camping one. We knocked out All Might versus All for One. It's been an amazing 2 sets of episodes, and I think this one kind of represents more of a let's try to get back to normal. Let's cool it down. Let's give you a little bit of action, but ultimately, it's nothing cataclysmic, world ending.
Yeah. Not necessarily filler, but some could say, but these episodes are still very good to me, personally.
No, I wouldn't say these are filler. I wouldn't say the majority of these episodes that we're covering are filler. And what we're doing is we're covering the transition into the dorm rooms, and we're covering the provisional license exam today. But the provisional license
episodes are great.
Yeah, for sure. I think between that and the provisional license exam, I think the provisional licensing, it gives them the ability to play a little bit more now, instead of it being kind of the trope of like, how many times are you guys gonna get away with, using your powers illegally? Now it's kind of like, okay, now we're giving you guys a little bit of responsibilities. It's very rare for first years to get their provisional license exam, but practically you guys have, bodied a lot more villains within the last 3 months.
Yeah, they've had to be in real situations.
So, I mean, might as well. But let's start off with the episode. It's kind of the fallout from All Might versus All for One, and everything, at least within the police department in the city, is like looking grim.
People are scared, man.
We get the full meeting. They're like, God, what are we, smoking? We have no leads on these guys. Like, we don't, there's no new information. There's nothing that we've done. And then one of the cops is like, at least we got All for One. And it's like, yeah, but we lost All Might. So like, we didn't really win.
Whatever happens next. Yeah. How are we going to be prepared?
All Might was the one who kept all these villains at bay. Now All Might is gone. All these villains are going to come out the windows, making our job a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying? And
here's how I feel about that, because I thought it was a bit like, I understand that they were just trying to maximize the intensity and the issue with losing All Might, but like they have a system in place to make sure, there's something that happens. So like, I thought it was like just strange that they played onto this so much, just considering like the way that their society is. Like they know it's like a next man up type thing. They just had All Might for so long. It's like, I guess it's like when Jordan retired, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, that's it.
I mean, so let's use
that.
I
don't have a problem with it. It's just, after a while, somebody has to stand up and be like, hey, man, Endeavor's right there.
Right. Well, let's use that analogy, though, when Jordan retired, right? So when Jordan retired, everyone, I think for the next couple of years or so, were like, okay, who's the next Jordan?
Right.
Who's the next? They were looking at, I don't even know if they were looking at Kobe quite like that immediately after. I think it took a couple of years after. And then there was a lot of stigma of like, can he do it without Shaq?
Yeah, for sure.
So it was kind of like that search as well. It's like, okay, well, who's the new symbol of peace? And you're looking at the second man up. I mean, who's the second man up in the NBA? Like
That's fair.
after
That's definitely fair.
after Jordan, who was there? I'm sure. Gosh, who was the commissioner? Why am I forgetting his name? Oh
David?
my God. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
David.
sure he was like, "Yo, where's this money coming from?"
Right.
David Stern, yeah, I'm sure he was like, "Yo, where's this money coming from? Like, where are we gonna do next?" He was the face. He was kind of everything. He was Americana. Where do we establish this next? And it took a few years before they kind of settled into it. And that's kind of like what's happening here. There's no All Might. So everyone's kind of looking now towards Endeavor, who's a number 2 hero, but not a lot of people like Endeavor. Endeavor doesn't rub people the right way. As good as he is at his job and as powerful that he doesn't rub people the right way. And Endeavor, we get a scene of it because after this attack, I think they cancel school. Fair enough. I mean,
should be for the rest of the week.
Yeah. So Shoto returns home and he's met by his sister. This is the first time we kind of like really, really seeing Shoto's family.
Right. And I was excited about this because I remember just texting you about it because as much backstory as they've given us, they left holes, in the story.
Well, you said yesterday that you were going to read the manga after the fact.
I haven't started.
Well, the holes will be filled. Well, for the most part, filled. Holes will be expounded upon.
Okay.
But with that said, Endeavor is not happy. He is the number 2 hero, and he says, "I don't accept it. Not like this. I should have earned it myself. Not by him failing." Like,
wow. You are you looking for like a way out of the podcast game? I mean,
no.
You're really getting this right.
I'm just a guy who really loves cartoons. I don't know.
That was very, very good, bro. What's going on? The talent is there.
Between a lot of Piccolo, Vegeta, and this guy,
you just make it work.
I hear voices similar in this vein a lot. But Endeavor, he's not happy. He got the crown by default. He didn't earn it. He didn't beat him. He didn't beat Jordan at all.
Some real competitor shit for sure.
Yeah,
because if you're a true competitor, you're not going to want to hand it to you ever.
It's like at the end of I don't want to say at the end of Dragon Ball Z, at the end of the Cell Saga, where Vegeta's standing there, and remember the part where he's like, "I will never fight again."
Yeah.
What Cap?
Why did they throw that cap in for him? Like, we actually believe that.
I felt like they legitimately thought it was going to be the end, and then
they didn't
Busaka came.
I'm about to say they didn't even like toy with the idea. Like, did they ever bring up that reference again?
No, never.
Yeah, they just wrote over it.
It was Goku sacrificing himself, and he's like, "Man, if he sacrificed himself for the world, like, what am I?
Mm-hmm.
What will I do? I'm not worthy." And that's kind of how Vegeta felt, and that's how Endeavor feels. He's like, "Yo, I'm not worthy to be number 1 because I did not earn it. I got it by default. Number 1 has been diminished, so therefore now I am number 1 by default." And he hates it. He hates it for himself. He's burning workout equipment and all this other stuff like that.
I would have eventually got over it. I've been like, all right, bring me the endorsements. Where's the money? Like, we move on.
He does. We're gonna see in season 4 that he's and actually moving forward that he's doing fairly well for himself.
Yeah, he figures it out.
After the fact, but there.
I understand his feelings. I get it.
All right, and then we have All Might, who's trying to come to grips with everything as well. He's in the hospital and he's trying to more so come to grips beyond the cataclysmic fight that he's in, and he's able to lose his powers and all like that. He's coming to grips with the fact that Tomura Shigaraki is the grandson of his master, Nana Shimura. And it's warped how he thinks of him. He's having these things like, yo, if I was just able to talk to him, maybe I could say something, which Gran Torino is like, are you on crack?
Yeah, he's a villain. It doesn't. He's getting his emotions all tied up, man. Like, especially when it comes to him trying to find his reasons as to what happened, because he's not even worried about. At that point, I don't think he's really processed everything with himself. It's just about this family ties, and he can't get over it.
I think I think he's had a long as much as I'm now thinking like, could there have been an episode where he's coming to grips with the fact that he doesn't have his powers? I don't think it was such. I think he's been coming to grips with that since pretty much the season 1.
So he wasn't even. I see what you're saying. He just wasn't even surprised. He knew the situation.
Yeah, because he knew this was going to happen eventually. Yeah. I think he knew that he was going to lose.
After the fight, he already knew.
He'd come to grips with it. He has chosen a successor. I think he truly believes in Midoriya. I think he was ready, and he's ready to pass the crown. It's kind of now what happens next, and how does he transition next? And we see him, meet up with Deku on the beach. I love that moment because he punches him in the face, and it was you fucking told me that you would not get involved by any means necessary.
Even if it worked, that's how they get down there. Doesn't matter.
And you lied. You asshole. But he's so proud of him ultimately at the end of the day, which is
it's a sweet moment. Right?
Yeah. Kind of a little counterproductive. It's kind of like, oh, you're admonishing him for this one thing, but at the end of the day, it's like, but you're such a hero. Like, oh my god, that was so awesome. Did you see the way Bakugo was flying in the air?
It's like Midoriya's been hit in the face twice, like blindsided. Like, I don't understand why they keep doing this to this guy. Like, he hasn't been through enough. He's got the most injuries of everyone.
He's a little stubborn. But he's willing to train Deku to become the new symbol of peace, and that's how pretty much everything for All Might is going to roll on from here on out. He's no longer a major figure in the show. He's no longer an active combatant. He's no longer the get out of jail free card when villains show up and shit gets real. It's no longer the society and Deku and everyone.
When you put it that way, I guess I can't understand why the police were like, yo, what's going on, man? This is weird.
What do we got?
What are we going to do?
Next man up.
Yeah.
Endeavor.
Like, you put it that way, man. It does sound, because you got to put yourself in that world. If you're there in that situation and you've had this one guy to lean on who you were comfortable with because of his personality, his charisma, and his actual power, and he's just gone, you're right. I guess I wouldn't be like, what's everybody complaining about? Endeavor's right there. Like, I would definitely be weary.
Yeah.
I'm all with that for sure.
Let's transition to the dorms. Because back at school, Principal Nezu was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna do my Principal Nezu voice. He's a cute little rat, but he is unfortunately like, we're in this unfortunate situation. But now we're going to implement a dorm system, a bubble.
The bubble, it's the bubble before the bubble.
As some may say, for multiple reasons, but he's ultimately like, let's keep these students safe. Let's keep them on dorms. We'll provide them the best opportunity. This school got money, by the way. Money.
Yeah, you already know. It's large. I don't even know how they're making their money.
They're a high school.
Like, how are they getting this much bread? Like, I don't really know what kind of sponsors they got.
Yeah, because they have first of all, they have an amazing campus facility just in general, but then they have the dorms, and then the dorms have all these rooms. They're able to house not only just the students but the teachers as well, and feed these kids 3 times a day or maybe even more. And I'm just like, this is much better. Like, I went to college. This was not the same thing as when I went to college. It was not sexy at all, but he's implementing this. I think there's another reason why. I think they want to take a look at the students, see like,
which one of y'all is wilding out right now, man?
Yeah.
Who told, man?
There's been too much intel that has leaked, locations that have leaked, a lot of things. If the location to the summer camp thing hadn't leaked, they wouldn't have sold Bakugo. All Might wouldn't have to fight, and we'd still have All Might. So there's obviously something that's going on that's very detrimental to the school. We need to figure out who the leak is. So they're going to keep an eye on them. And, but before that, they can't just say like, mandatory dorms. They have to convince all the
work out, man. Gotta call parents, man.
Yeah. Convince all the parents of all the kids who just got either knocked out by poisonous gas or hit in the head or severely endangered and injured.
I actually love this part of the episode because
me too.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than like getting that family information about all these characters we've just been watching for the past 2-3 seasons, and you're just like, you want to see what
Mm-hmm.
what's their life like outside of UA, or what's their parents like. And I like that they do well bringing in other characters, even if it's just for just fan service. Like, hey, here's Bakugo's family. Here's just we got to see it, man. We got to see it.
Right. I think out of all the I mean, I like Jiro's family, the kind of like rocker-esque type of like, no, man, like, of course, man, free spirit. I love Bakugo's mom.
Man,
Bakugo's mom
is hilarious. And it all makes sense. They made it all make sense to me.
Both of Bakugo's parents, the mom kind of being the tough one.
The dad like threw me off, bro. The dad threw me off.
Shut up, dad! Like, it's one of those. Who the hell told you to speak?
He's really a pushover, like straight up.
Bakugo's mom is like, I like what you said though, and this is how I knew my son was getting the right attention that he deserved, because I listened to what he said at the press conference, and I was like, these teachers really got my students. And she was like, I'm glad that he went through what he went through as well, because it humbled him. People have been telling him that he got this awesome quirk for all of his life, and he just kind of have to live with it. But now he's going to realize like there are major consequences to these type of things, and you have to become better. And he wants to become better. And they love that he's going to a school that's sort of promoting that and cultivating that within him. So
it's awesome.
Shout out to Bakugo's parents. Now Deku's mom is like,
man, I had mixed emotions about Deku's mom during this.
Sure.
Because obviously that's her son, so I can't say, I don't understand. But I'm thinking to myself, like, after all the times this guy has been fucked up, this was the last stand? Like, this was it?
I mean,
she could have pulled this card a while ago, is what I'm trying to say.
So I think she did. I think she wanted to, because if you remember at the end of season 2, there was that mall incident that Deku turned himself in.
I remember that. They definitely definitely played on. They definitely played on. It was definitely to fulfill how she was kind of already feeling. She just couldn't say it, and I guess this was the final straw. I'm just saying, it's like, yo, like, soon as kid breaks his arms at school, I'm like, all right.
My son has been to the school for 1 semester, and he has had to face evil villains. There's been a terrorist attack at the school. He has been abducted at the mall. He has been, roughed up in a forest. He was in a coma for 2 days. Where does it stop, UA? Where does it stop? Why should I allow my kid to go to the school? My son, my only son. I am the only parent here. He is all that I have. Why should I allow him to go back to the school? Why should I put his life in peril once again, just so he can get? There are other schools. I mean, there's Shiketsu High, the ninja school, whatever the hell it is. Right. But like, Duelist Academy. I don't know what to say, but what are they all in Japan? But there are other schools that he can go to. But why? And you see All Might, formerly the number 1 hero, have to really kind of get down on his knee, kind of humble himself, and kind of understand the responsibility that he had, that he may not have been the best teacher in any of these situations. It may not have set the best example.
Had to be able to admit it.
Yeah. Not set the best example for all these things. So
maybe that was just it. That was just a tipping point, I suppose. But like, I'm thinking,
like, I don't blame her.
No, I can't blame her. I obviously can't blame her, but I would have pulled him out sooner. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, she could have really pulled him out a while ago.
Oh my God. Well, he's staying. He's staying because she know he loves All Might. Mm-hmm. All Might loves him. Number 1 hero. Great recommendation. She just wants him to be the best that he can. Previously quirkless weirdo, now with a quirk, and she loves her son, ultimately, at the end of the day. So she's sending him back to the school, sending him back to the dorms. They get to the dorms. Aizawa threatens them, says, I should expel all of you except Bakugo, Hagakure, who is like, I forgot, she's so invisible. Her quirk's invisibility, but she's so invisible just in general.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we might need a Hagakure episode, just
I think it has to happen.
what's the day in the life of the invisible girl who's kind of like
Like,
she's
why
very girly.
there? And we don't. I mean, obviously, I haven't read up to there. But is there any more information on like anything about her
No,
besides what we know?
no, she is I mean, she'll get a part in an upcoming arc with the student stuff. Like all the students have to compete in
Right.
this, this thing. That's actually going to come in season 5, but it's definitely like the next chapter in the manga after season 4 ended. So she'll
She
be
does
there.
love. She needs some love, man. I got to see what is she doing when she gets to a crib.
Yeah, this is true. Well, what are they all doing when they get to the crib? Because now we have the dorms. They have a little like, oh, let's see the dorms. Let's see who has the best dorm. Let's do a contest. You know what I'm saying? Whew. Okay. Class 1A dorms. Tell me who has got the best one? Who your favorite of the the bunch that you've seen?
I probably, just to be honest,
Yeah.
Midoriya's, man.
all nighted out.
Yo, he's living his gimmick, man. He's living.
I mean,
his
that's
life,
true.
bro.
That's true. It's like, damn, he's such a
Kirishima,
all the chicks walked in were like, yo, he's such a kid. Look at him.
His dorm was hard too.
Yeah. You got a little workout thing. He's like, yo, I get it done in here. First of all.
Right.
Um
He has a punching bag.
I like how Todoroki like completely Japanesed up his dorm.
No, dude. Like Todoroki's room was super clean, but it's cool when you see the shots of his house. It's the same. It's like the same.
Yeah.
So they did a good job making sure that carried over. But yeah, his room is fire.
They managed to it's a great kind of tool because they managed to show all of their personalities within their just their rooms. You see Aoyama's room, it's super sparkly, super glamorous. You see Koda's room, mad animals, just having fun. You see Tokoyami's room, it's darkness because darkness.
Right.
And Mina Ashido's very pink. Momo Yaoyorozu, there's a huge king size bed in the middle of her room. And she's like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna fit all my stuff in here. This is size
rich life.
This is the size of one of my closets. To which like Uraraka is like, this is the size of my house. Like, oh my god.
On the low.
I mean, yeah. But the dorm episode is very cute. It's very, let's take a step back.
It was needed.
Yeah, because it's been all super serious since then. People usually feel way. I think the action in this show is so good that people tend to feel a way when we get to these type of episodes. And don't get me wrong, I mean, these aren't my favorite. This isn't my favorite stretch of the show, I'll say. But there are definitely people who feel a way, kind of like, yo, there needs to be more action going on always. And if they're not in action right now, it needs to be leading up to more action.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to remember this is an anime.
Yeah, you got to get back to some things that we just want to know. It may not be. We're talking like 15 minutes right here.
Right, and I think also, I think with pacing for just storytelling, you need to kind of like taper off a little bit, cool down, so you're able to heat up again.
Yeah,
I mean, there's only so much time you can bring the action. You're not getting higher than All Might versus All for One. It just doesn't get bigger than that.
Again, it doesn't feel like filler to me. Like I didn't really. I know that it, like you said, for those people that kind of have an issue with it, they would call this filler. But I think that they gave important information during this period. Yes, it was kind of comedic in a way, and it had little just fun, witty things, but it served a purpose for sure, in my opinion, as far as continuing to build and develop every single one of these characters.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Let's move on to the training for the provisional license. This is exactly what they came to do. They're going to spend the remaining of the summer just training to be heroes and determining their ultimate moves and all this other stuff like that. But let's talk about the provisional license exam itself. So they're training to pretty much get their license. Provisional license grants them the ability to do actual hero work alongside heroes instead of, pretty much do all the things they've been doing illegally anyway for the last couple of months. Now
Right.
that they're able to do it legally. It has a 50% pass rate. They spend most of the time training for the exam, creating ultimate moves. Fast forward. Okay, so boom. There were most recently 2 new OVAs released.
Okay.
My Hero Academia.
Right.
Over the weekend. Actually, yeah. So that's gonna date when this actual episode was recorded. But that were released, that were training for the provisional licensing exam. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay, that is fine. I thought it was going to be the whole class. It is not the whole class. It's so funny. They were like, okay, we're going to split these class into 2. Let's take all the main characters on one side and then people who don't matter on the other side. And we never get to see how the other side of the class does. But they're 2 new OVAs. They're out. They deal with this, and kind of all that I'll say about it. It's very interesting. I think it's more so, whereas I think the anime is going to focus a lot more on like that first part, like developing moves, trying to evade stuff, working on your mobility, all this other stuff like that. These 2 OVAs kind of, on the second half of the exam, the final phase of the exam, where you got to rescue people and deal with situations that are beyond your control and stuff like that. So it was very, very scary, but also very, very good. 2 episodes, new OVAs, so they're out.
We're going in.
Yeah, slip them in your watch, even though they are currently at the beginning of season 4 for whatever reason of the show. They position them so weird when they put them on Crunchyroll, Hulu, Funimation, and everything else.
I don't know how it gets done that way. One thing that we maybe we can have a ramen talk about it one day, but just they need to be more organized. Anime releases and actual dates, and like it gets wild and confusing a lot.
I agree. Let's get to the in this training for provisional licensing exam, I'd say one of the highlights is that they do have to upgrade their costumes. And I love that it's this whole system that of upgrading the costumes. Well, give me the manual that came with your costume. We do this. We look for upgrades. If there are upgrades that we can do, they're small times. We fill out the registration and we send it to the company that kind of manufacture it. If there needs to be bigger upgrades for it, we send the actual whole costume itself back to the company so they can make the. I was like, come on.
It's kind of, we don't have nobody in house to just do this right now.
Well, they do. So they have Power Loader, who is at the head of development studio, and of course our favorite Mai Hatsume, who
one of my favorite characters,
bursts out the door and lands on Deku in a very, very compromising position, especially with Uraraka right there, and like just to be frank, her titties on Deku.
He's been a lot of action, man. I don't know. I'm not really sure how they get away with some of this stuff on the show, but I understand. It's very quick and they just move on from it. But
I feel like it's just embedded within
the culture,
Japanese anime culture.
You gotta throw it in there a few times. Boom, boom.
Yeah, it's very rarely the other way around, like women harassing. I mean, they are, don't get me wrong, like in that sort of fashion, but we'll see. It's always, some, I guess, fun stuff. Also in this, Deku learns to kick instead of breaking his arms by punching. So,
which I think I texted you when I found out, when I got to this part, and realizing he was going to switch it up. I mean, it was so smart, man.
Yeah,
I didn't see it either. Like, I didn't really think about it like that. Like, even watching it, I guess I was so tied up with All Might's gimmick and the fact that Deku was taking it on that I never really even, which is just, to me, that's just good writing, but I never really considered, So when I got to this part, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is perfect.
It made me think. It was like, has All Might ever kicked a thing in his life?
Right. Like, seriously. I mean, he doesn't skip leg day,
No, not at all.
Good, but I really, it was a nice like way to transition Deku into having his own thing, and which I think they were trying to do anyways at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's fast forward to the provisional license exam, because there's quite a bit of action. If you're looking for action, this is it. It's still not the world-ending action that everyone loves and anticipates, but it's action nonetheless. provisional license exam. They meet at the National Dagaba Arena, and all types of schools throughout Japan, you know,
They're all
head
everybody's
there.
pulling up.
Everyone's here. Everyone from their own. I like to believe everyone from their own separate anime has approached
Is that how
this.
you feel?
This is how I feel. This is how I feel. I feel like there's a
My
Ketsubetsu High Academy, Shiketsu High,
hero.
all this other. Yeah, there's their own My Hero Academia thing. But let's see. So the first school that pulls up is Ketsubetsu Academy, an off-brand version of Class 1A, in my opinion, with a not as charming protagonist. You know that kid who like breaks the ground?
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be their Deku.
It definitely is. But he's
You know.
he's not as interesting as Deku.
No, but I could see him in another anime being built as that.
Right,
like the kind of
he'd be the protagonist.
a Baki-esque. It's like Baki meets Deku,
Right.
and maybe not as an overall sexual and over, brutal way, but it could be. My only thing about this school is the teacher flirts with Mr. Aizawa at every point, and he curbs her. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
What, Miss Joke?
Yeah, Miss Joke.
Miss Joke is hilarious. Like as funny as that is because of her name, but she's so giddy and
You think they had a thing?
Yes, definitely. They definitely had a thing. They definitely had a thing. Like it was one of those situations where he messed up. In the office with Kelly on February 13th. The same thing happened to Mr. Aizawa. I guarantee it. It was just some situation, and he just has not been able to get out of it since.
Damn, Mr. Aizawa needs a girlfriend. He might need one.
Miss Joke is a pretty lady.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, they would work well together. He is very dry, lack of sense of humor, and she does. I think they would work well together.
There's something there, man. There's something there.
Next one, I see Shiketsu High. Great uniforms.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's all I got on this.
Yeah, they got fits.
It features a student, Yoarashi, who dubbed UA High in order to go to Shiketsu High. And he was recommended to UA on recommendation and said, nah, going to Shiketsu. And we learned why. I think in season 4. Where
you
maybe no. What happened?
You like the design?
It's
cool.
I actually like a fair amount of their students that we meet here.
Yeah.
I like some of the quirks. I like some of their looks. I like some of the other ones of their looks, like a lot. As we'll talk about in a few minutes. But I like them. I like them. I like the very dry, sleep-deprived Heroes Public Safety Commissioner who's proctoring the exam. Who's just like, yeah.
Exam's about to start in 5 minutes.
Yeah, 30 students has passed. Can we get this over with already? I love that. I love everything about it. These were actually the episodes itself where I actually caught up to the show. So it's very, I guess, I don't know. I guess it means a lot. I don't know if it means a lot or anything. But when I first started watching the show, I pretty much binged through season 1, season 2, and the better part of season 3. So I didn't have to, thankfully, wait week by week as All Might faced All for One. So I managed to get through everything in general. And these were kind of the episodes that I left up to. I remember a specific one was called Rush. That was... that I got up to, but they get out there, they get on the field, they're doing provisional licensing exam, and Miss Joke wonders why Mr. Aizawa didn't know. Let them know the severe disadvantage that Class A1 has due to everyone being able to see them at the sports festival and knowing their quirks. To which Mr. Aizawa says, "Listen, I'm not worried about them.
Yeah,
you're going to have to overcome these things anyway, and if you're going to be good, you got to overcome these things. People are going to know your quirks.
In real life, they're going to run into situations that they can't comprehend. It's going to be something you can't teach that. So he's like, might as well let them go figure it out on their own.
Yes, that's true.
That's good teaching, though.
That's good teaching. Listen, he's preparing them for real life. He was like, yo, people going to know your quirks anyway. You're going to be stars. You're going to be top 10 heroes. Everyone's going to know Red Riot's quirk. and they're gonna try their best to stop it. But you gotta adapt and you gotta overpower them. The provisional licensing exam is broken into two phases. The initial phase, in which examinees must avoid having all three of their targets lit up and instead eliminate other examinees. Only 100 applicants out of the 1,540 will pass.
That's a lot of sad people at the end of the day.
It sounds like those city exams that I've maybe taken a couple of times, but I don't necessarily like. I don't like when it's like, okay, only 100 of you will pass out of. I was like, all right, fuck you then.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna be one of those. Like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to work that hard. Boom. So the students are split up after a while because, I mean, they try their best to fight with one another. I actually do like these scenes because they try their best to fight one another. A lot of the schools come and ambush them, but they're like, oh, we got ultimate moves, hoes.
Like, we've been learning a little bit of extra shit.
Yeah, man. Look at the viscosity on my acid. Now I can use Dark Shadow as like a shield and a cape, or like, Deku's like, look at my feet. Ha. So they've know a lot of things, but they're eventually split up in various ways. And I like the little split up thing. It gives them, we get to see all the students. I mean, except the end part. They have this thing where they're like, obviously these students don't matter, so we're going to save them for the last possible.
Yeah, but I get that, because we're going to end up, I'm sure we end up seeing some of these students again in different situations, or students that, get elevated and put in a better situation in UA, or, maybe a transfer, man. Somebody got a transfer, man. Get back over here to UA.
Maybe they kicked out the class when they had to 2A or something.
Yeah, right.
In their second year. Deku is ambushed by Kami Yusumishi from Shiketsu High, and it has sexy results.
It does.
Super sexy.
A little extra here, but
she jumps him from behind and then like obviously pins him down and like
literally rubs like her titties down or up Deku's back.
Woo boy.
And listen, they got spicy. Deku's not really like a horny kid though, so
no. But I mean, the ladies seem to love him. They seem attracted to him.
They love Deku, but he's still like, oh my,
oh my god.
Not worry about no titties right now.
To which Sero, eventually he meets up with Sero, and Sero's like, oh my god, she was naked, bro. All of this is very interesting and very strange. I put quotes around Kami Utsumishi because, we eventually learn at the end of this that it's actually not her. And the entire time it was Himiko Toga from the League of Villains.
As someone else?
Yeah. She has a quirk that thing as other people. Actually, it makes me wonder what happened to Kami during this entire thing, but we'll learn that in season 4. But, it's Himiko. I don't know what the necessarily part of her being there. Maybe she was sent to get more blood. I would like to think
that's what it was, wasn't it? Or was she just bored? She just wanted to see Deku.
Maybe. I would like to think she had a plan. There was like, okay, go get more blood, since you were supposed to get like mad things of blood during the thing, and you only got one person's blood.
After watching season 4, I would probably say you're right. She probably has a plan. Definitely.
Yeah. Eventually Deku is reunited with Sero and Uraraka, and they have a plan and say like, listen, to manage the pass and eliminate these guys, we need to subdue them. We can't fight them one-on-one. It's only 3 of us. We need to do so. They have a plan. They use Sero's tape. They use Uraraka's gravity. They manage to tape down everybody and manage to eliminate them. Deku, Uraraka, Sero pass.
1A's got the plans.
100%.
They always got plans.
There's another team, Yayorozu, Asubi, Jiro, and Shoji, who faces the students from Seiyai High, an all-girls school, and it becomes a game of tactics. The ladies from Seiyai High Academy, they trap them in the room, they turn on the cold, they shoot Jiro's ear. This was
an elaborate part. To me, I thought that this was extremely unfair. What are they doing, man?
I guess you could do anything they
allowed.
I mean, I don't know what anime they came from. I'm
Like,
still under the thing.
you see the situation they were in. Like they had to do a lot of thinking.
Well, it's because Homegirl, who is the leader of all these ladies, her quirk was like super genius. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, so it's not like she has a physical quirk, so she's got to use her brain. She's got to attack
No,
Yayorozu. But
I was even over there like, damn, how they gonna get out of this?
mm,
For
had
real.
me
Like,
on the edge of my seat. I
oh
was like,
no,
okay.
for real. I was really like, I don't know how this is gonna end.
Shout out to Momo who got it done.
We love
Um,
Momo. We got a lot of love
yeah,
for Momo.
we do. There was another one, and obviously we're out of order here, but Yorashi from Shiketsu High eliminated 120 examinees by himself, and was actually the first one to pass, just based off his quirk, his hurricane quirk. It was just like, yo,
Fire.
you only get 6 balls, so I'm not sure how he eliminated 120 people,
I don't know, man.
but he did. He did. He was recommendations, bro.
Should have won the UA.
Todoroki of UA defeats other several students. He defeats like multicolored ninjas from
I,
another school.
they really just like fed those guys to Todoroki. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to make
Yeah.
him more strong.
Yeah. But he defeated them all. Good for him. Listen, the only 2 students to really kind of like, okay, we're eliminating a lot of people by ourselves. It becomes a very important point all later on, after the fact. Bakugo, Kaminari, and Kirishima, I think my favorite trio, managed to defeat Seiji, a student from Shiketsu High, whose quirk is to turn his opponents into meatballs. And we really get Kaminari's kind of like coming of age moment where he's like, my quirk finally works now that I have all these upgrades to it, and he isn't able to shock himself. So good for Kaminari. I'm leaving this moment for praise for Kaminari.
Yeah, no, because he does deserve it for this. But the guy's quirk, man, who like, can I return this quirk? Like, can I give me something new? Like,
what, Kaminari?
Turn everybody to meatballs.
Oh,
Come on, bro. He got the bad stick, man.
I agree. I need Kaminari to watch Yu Yu Hakusho and watch Kuwabara and say, okay, now I can turn my lightning into a sword. That's kind of what I need. I need him to be able to transform his lightning.
Because he should be able to do that.
Yeah. If he can control it, he can like, okay, you just need a little power.
Of some sort.
A little bit of, yeah.
Anything electricity, a lot of potential though.
Absolutely.
You already know.
Final 9 out of 10 spots are pretty much won by the class 1A students after like a rally inspired by Aoyama, who's almost eliminated, by the way. He's got 2 fucking things. He's lit up. He's like, damn, I'm trash. I do not belong here.
Some would say that.
But he shoots his naval laser to the sky, and it sends out an alert to the people. And all the other class 1A kids, they hop in, and it's Mina Ashido, it's Jiro, not Jiro actually, it's Hagakure, it's Tailman, it's everybody. And they do it. All class 1A passes. And Aizawa's like, yo, this was too close. Like, y'all should have done better. Y'all should have been passed.
He definitely felt it. Because he was confident talking to Miss Joke about it. So I think he just felt a certain type of way. Like he was like, he's on the edge of his seat a little bit as well.
Yeah, a little bit. The final phase is a mock rescue mission with professional rescuees. That's right. You heard it first. People who are paid to be in trouble, so heroes can train to see, if they can capture them. These professional rescuees will grade each examinee and assess how they assess issues, rescue people in a high pressure situation, and if a examinee drops below 50 points, they fail. Let's talk about a few high points from this. Immediately, Deku gets points deducted for saying the wrong thing. He was like, "This is bad. This is bad."
I know he's gonna say like, "That's what you're gonna say to us as soon as you pull up." Because that's real. I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to,
someone will save you. This looks bad. This looks bad. I'm having the worst day of my life. And you gonna tell me this is bad and you the hero? Oh my god. So Deku gets some points knocked off. Bakugo, also not a people-friendly person, immediately just pisses people off. He's like, yo, help yourself.
Yeah, but remember, let's not skip over the part, you know what? Well, are we really that important for, they start questioning their own health. It's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't let him rescue us. We're fine. Go get somebody else.
But ultimately, I think they were also like, but he was pretty rude, so I'm gonna knock him down a couple steps anyway.
But they even question themselves. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, 100%. Gang Orca arrives. When I tell you, one of the first episodes that I saw was Rush. Gang Orca is pretty much one of the heroes I first saw and kind of like actually keeping up with the actual show itself, and I fell in love with him because he's a killer whale with a suit, and he's like a 1930s villain, but he's a killer whale.
Maybe
it's just amazing.
At this point, my favorite design from any hero
might be.
Straight
and
up.
He's on a list of like heroes that like look like villains, which is a very obscure list.
Yeah. I thought that was even funny that they said that, but he's has a perfect design. I haven't seen, I was a big fan. You remember Street Sharks?
Yes, I do. Of course.
Yeah, I loved Moby Licks, man. Moby Licks was fire. He had like orange pants, a tank top, and of course, the tongue and the water spout. But when I saw Gang Orca, I was like, oh man, this brings me back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shout out to Gang Orca. Todoroki and Yaorashi. I'm pretty sure I just fucked up his name, but right. Fair enough. They spend the time fighting. They're fighting because Yaorashi has a grudge against Todoroki's dad, Endeavor, who's just trying to get an autograph or something along those lines, something that happened in the past, and Endeavor kind of just brushed him off completely. And so he's held this grudge against Todoroki forever, so much that I guess he even went to a different school than Todoroki, which was like, huh?
That's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're ruining your own opportunities because you holding on to a grudge. You better pull up the UA, man.
They try to outdo one another to see who can get rid of. Wow, that's a first.
That was interesting. That may be the first time I ever heard you sneeze, dude.
On a podcast, bro. That never happens. Wow. So I feel like another sneeze is going on.
It's good. Hey man, bless you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The thing about me sneezing is that people think it's a cough, so no one has ever actually said bless you.
Wow, that's really tragic.
It's tragic as a kid. I'm super glad that you did, and it's reaffirmed our friendship for the rest of the time.
Right. I was like, hold on, man. Never heard that before. It spooked me a little bit.
I'm gonna leave that in the episode. But Gang Orca manages to subdue Todoroki and Yaorashi with its hypersonic waves because once again he's a fucking whale.
Too good. OP.
But after being yelled at by Deku, they pull up with a unison attack. Gang Orca manages to escape unison attack, and just as Deku is about to body him with one of his lethal kicks, the exam comes to an end. And it's over.
It's over.
And everyone's questioning what's going on, what's happening, how do we do here, and we get the final results. Deku now has his provisional license. It's one of the greatest days of his life. Shout out to Deku. The only two people in Class 1A who do not have the provisional exam are Bakugo and Todoroki. How did you feel about this?
It was definitely a twist. I don't want to say because at first I was questioning like Bakugo's situation. I'm like, how's he gonna pass this? Just like not off the fact that you just gotta tag, but I'm talking about this section of getting people to feel comfortable when you're trying to rescue them. It's not in him at all. So I did have like question marks with him, but I definitely didn't think that they would have it to the point where, you know, both of those guys, two of the top guys in the class, not pass.
The humbling is
It,
what I like to call this.
I think it needed it. You know, they both needed it, especially in my opinion, Todoroki, because
I think, yeah,
they've
I think both.
no, for sure. But I just, you know, they alluded so much to just Todoroki, the way he uses his power and or the way I hate saying power when we're talking My Hero. The way he uses quirk.
You know what I think it is with Todoroki? I think he's so used to, and they talked about it a little bit on the final exam as well. I think he's used to like doing things himself,
Right.
and that he has a very hard time actually working with others. And I think it's a lot of his own personality, and I think it's a lot of because of the stress that he had put on him when he was younger as well. I think a lot of things come into play when it's Todoroki's growth as an actual human being itself, and like get along with others, not being as antisocial, maybe being more open, a lot of different things like that. I think there's a lot with Todoroki that still needs to be established from a standpoint of like, okay, he's a hero with cool moves, but what actually makes him? Anybody has cool moves. Like, what makes him the actual hero? What makes people believe in him? What makes him? And you get all these things, especially when they have to go through thing next season, and then he sees his dad and all this other stuff like that. Like, what truly inspires him? What truly makes him a full hero?
Yeah, what makes him tick?
And Bakugo, I just think Bakugo needed to be humbled a little bit because, first of all, it's entertaining, but also he also needs to know. He also needs to step back, and maybe he needs perspective on himself and kind of figure out like what's the same thing as Todoroki. It's like, what makes people believe in you as a hero? It can't just be all the power stuff.
Do you think at this point he's already questioning if he is the strongest and best in the class? You think that's in the back of his mind?
No, because I think he does believe it, but I don't. I think he believes he's the best, but I don't think you could say that he is the best hero.
Right.
I think he's the best in terms of physical abilities. He's super gifted. He's got a mind. He's got all these other things. But in terms of being the actual best hero, in terms of like what, you know, being a hero is, and it's kind of been established through this entire series. I can't say Bakugo is the best hero.
Yeah, no,
he's
sure.
He's a dickhead. He's a terrible person.
I agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't say that at all about him, at least not yet.
So that's where we'll kind of leave off on this episode. Everyone in, you know, Class 1A except Todoroki and Bakugo's got their licenses. Let's see how this affects them in the future, especially in the near future. Next episode, we'll be wrapping up season 3. I mean, first of all, next episode means tomorrow, by the way. So Thursday, we'll be wrapping up season 3 with Deku versus Bakugo. Great fight.
Oh, man.
The weird introduction to me that maybe should have been saved for season 4, but ultimately in season 3, the big 3. We get to learn the big 3 of UA High. So finally, make sure you got.
When I first watched the series, you know, I watching on Hulu, and they already show, like the, you know, because they uploaded it to the point where it's the latest picture from the season, and I'm like, who is this guy? Lemillion, of course, but it was strange because I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. I watched this series all the way through.
So we will see all of them, especially on the next episode of the show. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing. Make sure you continue to follow us on the Lookout RNC on our Twitter page, on our Instagram page, on everything of the rather. We're going to continue bringing you great content throughout the rest of the week. Just thank you guys for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with the final episode of season 3 of My Hero Academia. See you then. Take care.